Thank you, Mr. President. I'm wondering if Senator Dornick would take a question.
He will yield. Senator Kunesh.
Senator Dornick, on your line 1.3 in your amendment, it's asking to delete statute 122A.18 and insert statute 123B .03. Can you tell us what you are deleting and what are you are replacing that with, please?
Senator Dornick.
So yes, the original bill, Senate File 819, had that background check, which is the background check that the schools do for school bus drivers, coaches, and so they do that test, so that background check. So that is what we're replacing. But you have to remember that this is a pilot program. Section 2 is Pelsby's option, or the option, so the schools have an option. That is where they get a license, or they can use Section 3. So there's no obligation to the schools to use these. So that, to answer your question, the original was the 123, which the schools can do that. It's a little quicker, and it is the background check that they use.
Senator Kunesh.
Thank you, Senator Dornick. Members, I think it's really important that you understand the significant difference between these two. The first one, 122A.18, is the thorough background search on any substitute teachers. This is the one that Pelsby has to do. They do a national search, they fingerprint, they look for any previous misconduct, and as well as fingerprinting and those backgrounds. They actually go into the FBI national database to ensure that our students are not subjected to any harm that could possibly happen. I think you should all have received an article that I asked to be handed out about a former substitute teacher that was sentenced to 40 years in prison for torsion. And it was a Carver County man who was sentenced to 480 months in prison, followed by 25 years of supervised release. It reflects the heinous nature of the defendant's crimes. It's a crime that can victimize any child, and the FBI is absolutely determined to continue working with partners like schools. They will continue to look for predators like this that might affect our children. This substitute teacher was a paraprofessional, so not a licensed educator, engaged in a scheme to obtain sexually explicit images and videos of minors and adults by using false online personas. He threatened to disseminate the images and videos of his victims in order to extort more images and videos. And over the course of a number of years, not just one or two, he victimized 42 people, including at least 23 minors, some of whom he knew from the school district where he worked. Members, the reason that we have the statute that requires Pelsby to do these in-depth background checks on our students or on our substitute teachers or teachers is to do just that. Make sure there are not predators that are going to be able to move from district to district, preying upon our most vulnerable children. Instead, this amendment replaces it with a much milder general background search that is basically just used for volunteers and unlicensed employees. So members, if you were to vote for this amendment, you would be creating a situation where pedophiles, predators could so easily slip into our school districts. And I think that is the last thing that we really want to do. I'm sorry, Mr. President, would Senator Dornick yield for another question.
Senator Dornick will yield. Senator Kunesh.
Thank you. Senator Dornick, my other question that I have on this is your line 1.8, where the school hiring authority must, as part of the hiring process, obtain the short call substitute teachers' informed consent for PELSB, basically, to release the candidate's private data to the school district or charter school under this section. From what you said, when a candidate decides that they would like to apply for this position and they have to sign this form saying they'll give that private data to PELSB, if PELSB does not is not the one who is licensing this individual, they don't have the authority then to disseminate that information to other school districts or to other states where somebody who might want to do harm to individuals, whether they're students or other work people. So how is it, or do you think it's a good idea that even though PELSB receives this information, they don't have the authority to share the information? And if not, then what is the point of even doing that?
Senator Dornick.
Thank you, Mr. President, and Senator Kunesh for the question. So as through this process, I have been transparent all the way through. And this bill, this amendment you've had for quite some time. And that's why I gave that to you, because I wanted to work it through and not have this battle on the floor. I wanted to work that out with you. I talked to Senator Uyghur quite often, was in good faith, worked hard to get this through. And so it's kind of frustrating that I'm not a person that likes to what's the word? I like to work things out one-on-one best I can, and I'm fine with this if that's the way you want to do it, but a little disappointed in the conversations we've had, and that this now is being brought out, because the data privacy that was brought out in the conference committee was brought up by PELSB. And so it's like, well, how can I fix this? And so this was an answer to fix this problem. And so that's why it's in there. This is a request, from my understanding, of PELSB and from the council to get this in there and to make it a win-win. So that's why it's in there. And that's what my understanding of what it would do. And that's why it's in there. So the school district communicates with PELSB. PELSB said they could not bring that information back because of this data privacy. So this is in the bill so PELSB can communicate back with the schools. So that was the intent. As far as the background check, I mean, we talked about that too. And with that, I guess I would be willing to go back to the old background check, because I didn't, we talked about this about a week or two on Monday. The bill was going to be presented, and you kind of gave me a heads up and questioned me why I had the 122A in there. And so to be consistent with what we were trying to do, it was my understanding that your recommendation was to have the other one. So, so I'm a little confused on what you're proposing with this bill. But I want to last say that the school districts, the superintendents, school board members, teachers, I have called many, talked to many, and they supported Section 3. So I'm confused why that it's so difficult for so many years not being able to come to a conclusion. So I'm really trying hard to try to have peace in the valley. And it feels like I actually told this to the only one time that I met with one of the Pellsby representatives. We talked after the committee hearing, and we had a nice visit. And I told him quite honestly, it feels like I'm playing a shell game, and the ball keeps getting moved to a different shell. It's very frustrating. I'm a new member and very try to do things. I think people know my reputation, and so I guess my question to you, Senator Kunesh, is if I change the background check, is that something that would bring a little bit more peace in the valley?
Senator Kunesh.
Thank you, Senator Dornick. And I know that you have worked long and hard on this and have been really, really collaborative in asking us to review and preview some of these suggestions to make this bill better. I just want you to know that having been a teacher for 25 years, I'm really well aware of the substitute teacher issue that we're experiencing right now, and we've been experiencing for a long time. And I know that districts are suffering and teachers aren't able to take the time that they need away from their classrooms because there isn't a substitute teacher. But that doesn't mean that we should compromise on the safety of our students. And that's what this amendment would be. I have not seen this amendment until just today, and so it took me a little while to go through it and understand what was happening. I would be very surprised, and I don't know, maybe you can let us know if Pellsby actually signed off on this amendment that you have here, because you know, at the end of the day, members, under this amendment A14, the BCA background check is completely removed from the process, and that really kind of surface background search is implemented. And it's the only background that would be completed for these substitute teachers that are coming in. And I don't know about you, but I want to know that every person that's in our school has gone through that very thorough search, not just locally, but at a state level, at a deep level with the FBI, and at the national level. I'm afraid that this amendment, members, would absolutely compromise the safety of our students. I am convinced that it would. If this was a really good amendment, Senator Dornick, I would absolutely accept it and not have a problem. But I do feel that I cannot accept this amendment as it is. It's just letting too much uncertainty through the doors of our schools, and it just still needs to do a lot of work. So, members, not only do I not accept this amendment, but I would really highly suggest that you vote no on this amendment. And, Mr. President, I would like a roll call.
Roll call requested. Roll call granted. Senator